The clock above the nurse's station reads 3:47 a.m. when I finally signed the last discharge form. My signature looks like a child's scrawl, shaky and uneven because I'm using my left hand. My right arm is encased in fresh plaster from fingertips to elbow, still radiating heat from the casting process. 6 weeks minimum, Dr. Harrison had said. 6 weeks of struggling to start IVS with my non-dominant hand. 6 weeks of explaining to my supervisor why I can't lift patients or handle my full workload in pediatric oncology. 6 weeks of going home to Ray, my stepfather, the man who shoved me down the stairs 4 hours ago. "You all set, sweetie?" Lily asks from behind the desk. She's the night shift nurse who processed my intake, and her eyes hold that careful sympathy healthcare workers reserve for patients they suspect are lying. "All set," I reply, forcing brightness into my voice. "Just clumsy me. Lily doesn't believe me." I can see it in the way her gaze lingers on the finger-shaped bruises peeking out from beneath my cast. But she doesn't push. She never does. We both know how this works. "You need a ride home?" she offers. Home. The word sits bitter on my tongue. "I'll grab an Uber," I lie, already calculating the cost against my bank balance, $23.18. The ride would take half of that, and rent is due in 5 days. I'll walk. The automatic doors hiss open as I head toward the exit, and suddenly the entire emergency room goes silent. Not the usual 4 a.m. quiet of exhausted staff and sleeping patients, but a sharp, unnatural stillness that makes my skin prickle. Even the crying baby in the waiting area stops mid-wail. He enters first, a man in an immaculate black suit despite the hour, scanning the room with cold efficiency. Then another, broader, with hands that look capable of crushing concrete. They flank the doorway like sentries. Then he walks in. I've never seen Alexander Russo in person, but I know him instantly. Everyone in the city knows him, even if we pretend not to. The man who owns half the waterfront, whose family name appears on charitable foundations and police reports in equal measure, whose business dealings are discussed only in whispers. He moves with the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. His dark coat is casually elegant, tailored perfectly to broad shoulders. His face is all sharp angles and dark eyes that sweep across the ear with practiced assessment. Those eyes land on me for exactly 3 seconds. I immediately look down, studying the scuffed linoleum beneath my feet. People like me don't make eye contact with people like him. I learnt that lesson young, first from my mother's careful warnings, then from Ray's brutal reinforcement. "Mr. Russo," the charge nurse stammers, rushing forward. "We weren't expecting family emergency," he says, his voice surprisingly soft, cultured. 4th floor. Yes, VIP suite. Dr. Winters is waiting. The entourage moves toward the private elevator. I exhale slowly, realizing I'd been holding my breath. The emergency room gradually returns to normal, monitors beeping, phones ringing, the usual symphony of medical chaos. "You sure about that ride?" Lily asks, watching me gather my things. "Positive. I'll be fine." The lie tastes familiar on my tongue. Outside, October air bites through my thin scrubs. I pull my jacket awkwardly over my shoulders, one sleeve dangling empty beside my cast. The hospital parking lot is nearly deserted at this hour, just a few cars belonging to night shift staff and the occasional patient visitor sleeping in their vehicle. I make it halfway down the block before I hear the engine. A black SUV with tinted windows glides up beside me, matching my pace exactly. My heart kicks into overdrive. I walk faster, clutching my bag against my side with my good arm. The passenger window slides down with a whisper of expensive machinery. The stone-handed man from the hospital looks out at me. "Miss Bennett," he says. Not a question. A statement. I freeze mid-step. "How do you know my name?" He doesn't answer. Instead, he opens the door and steps onto the sidewalk, his considerable bulk blocking my path forward. "Mr. Russo would like to speak with you." Terror claws up my throat. I glance around the empty street, searching for witnesses, for help, for any reasonable escape route. There's nothing. No one. Just me and this man, and the idling SUV with its darkened windows hiding whatever waits inside. There must be some mistake, I manage, hating how my voice shakes. I don't know, Mr. Russo. No mistake. His expression doesn't change. Please, miss. It's important. The please should be reassuring. Instead, it sounds like a courtesy being extended before the courtesy ends. My legs feel disconnected from my body as I approach the vehicle. The man gestures to the open door. Through it, I can see leather seats, subtle ambient lighting, and in the far corner of the back seat, barely visible in shadow, Alexander Russo. Up close, he's even more devastating. Not handsome in a conventional way, but compelling, magnetic, the kind of face that belongs in Renaissance paintings of fallen angels. Join me, he says. 2 words. A command wrapped in silk. I climb into the SUV, my cast bumping awkwardly against the doorframe. The door closes behind me with a soft, final click that sounds like a prison lock engaging. Alexander Russo studies me with those impossibly dark eyes. Miller Bennett, he says slowly, as if tasting my name. 24 years old, pediatric oncology nurse at St. Mary's, lives at 1842 Westbrook Avenue with stepfather Ray Donovan. My blood turns to ice. How? I start, but he cuts me off. Why were you in the emergency room tonight, Miller? The question hangs between us, dangerous and inescapable. I fell, I say automatically. The lie is well practiced, smooth from years of repetition, down the stairs. I was tired after my shift and just try again. Alexander's voice doesn't rise. It doesn't harden. But something in those 2 words makes every muscle in my body tense. It's true, I insist, wrapping my good arm around myself defensively. I'm clumsy. I tripped on the, "You have 3 seconds to tell me the truth, Miller," the way he says my name, familiar, intimate. As if he has the right to it, sends a shiver down my spine. What, Mr. Russo? I don't understand why. 2. His eyes never leave mine. There's no anger in them, no visible threat. It's just absolute certainty that I will answer him, that everyone answers him eventually. Something inside me cracks. My stepfather, I whisper, and immediately want to take it back. But it was an accident, he didn't mean to. We argued, and I was in the way, and stop. 1 word, soft as velvet, sharp as a blade. I fall silent. Alexander leans forward slightly, and I instinctively press back against the leather seat. But he doesn't touch me. He simply studies my face with an intensity that makes me feel transparent, as if he can read every lie I've ever told written across my skin. How long? He asks. How long what? How long has Ray Donovan been putting his hands on you? The clinical way he phrases it, not hurting you or hitting you, but putting his hands on you, somehow makes it worse. More real. Since my mother died, I admit, then quickly add, but tonight was the worst. Usually it's just, I stop myself, horrified at what I was about to say. Usually it's just bruises I can hide. Usually it's just words. Usually I can avoid him. Usually I'm more careful. Alexander sits back, his jaw tight. He pulls out his phone and makes a call, speaking in rapid Italian. I catch only fragments and address, my stepfather's name, the word immediately. When he ends the call, he turns back to me with an expression I can't decipher. Your mother was Julia Bennett, correct? The sudden shift in topic disorients me. Yes, she died 3 years ago. Cancer, I know. Something softens in his face just for a moment. She was my private nurse when I was 17. Appendicitis that went septic. She took care of me for 6 weeks during recovery. I stare at him, trying to reconcile this information with everything I know or thought I knew about my mother's life. She'd been a home care nurse for wealthy clients, yes, but she'd never mentioned the Russo family, never hinted at any connection to organized crime. I don't understand, I say carefully. What does my mother have to do with everything? Alexander's voice drops lower. Julia saved my life. Not just medically. She treated me like a person, not a Russo, not my father's heir, just Alexander. He pauses. We stayed in touch over the years. When she got sick, she reached out to me, asked for help with medical bills. Shame burns through me. I'd worked 2 jobs trying to cover those expenses, picking up extra shifts until exhaustion became my constant companion. I never knew my mother had sought help elsewhere. She never told me, I whisper. She wouldn't have. Julia was proud. His expression shifts, becomes almost gentle. Before she died, she called me to the hospice. Made me promise something. My heart hammers against my ribs. What? To look after you. To make sure you were safe. Taken care of. His dark eyes hold mine. I'm keeping that promise. That's why you know where I live. Why you? I stop. Realization flooding through me. You've been watching me. Having you checked on occasionally? He corrects. You seemed fine. Independent. Working. Living your life. I had no idea about Ray until... His gaze drops to my cast. Until tonight. The SUV's been moving this entire time and I suddenly realize we're not heading toward my neighborhood. Where are we going? I ask, trying to keep panic from my voice. To your house. Alexander's tone is matter of fact. You need clothes. Essentials. No. The word bursts out of me. Please, Ray will be awake. He's always awake when I come home late. If he sees you, if he thinks I told someone, Miller. Alexander's hand moves toward me, and I flinch instinctively. He freezes, then, carefully, slowly, reaches for the blanket folded on the seat beside him. He drapes it over my lap, with surprising gentleness. Ray Donovan will not touch you again. I guarantee it. The certainty in his voice should reassure me. Instead, it terrifies me. What are you going to do to him? I ask, my voice barely audible. Alexander's smile is cold. Have a conversation about consequences. The SUV turns onto my street, and dread pulls in my stomach. The porch light is on Ray's signal that he's awake and waiting, probably drinking. Definitely angry that I've been gone for hours without permission. Please, I try one more time. I can just get my things later. You don't need to. Stay in the car, Alexander commands, already opening his door. Carlo, Vin's with me. All 3 men exit the vehicle before I can protest further. Through the tinted windows, I watch them approach my small, shabby duplex, so out of place in their expensive suits and predatory grace. Ray opens the door before they reach it, confusion crossing his face, then recognition, then fear. I can't hear what's being said, but I see my stepfather's expression change with each word Alexander speaks. See him nod frantically, backing into the house. See Alexander and his men follow him inside. The front door closes. 5 minutes pass. They feel like hours. When the door opens again, Alexander emerges carrying a duffel bag. My duffel bag, the one I keep in my closet for emergency shifts when I sleep at the hospital. Ray doesn't follow them out. Alexander returns to the SUV and places the bag beside me. Your essentials, he says calmly, as if he hasn't just done something that will change everything. Is there anything else you need from the house? What did you do to him? The question comes out strangled. Nothing he didn't deserve. Alexander's expression is unreadable. Your stepfather is currently packing for an extended trip. Somewhere very far away where he can reflect on his choices. You're sending him away? He's choosing to leave, Alexander corrects with dark amusement. After our conversation about respect and the consequences of breaking bones that don't belong to him, the SUV pulls away from the curb. I twist in my seat, watching my house, my prison for 3 years disappear behind us. Where are we going? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know the answer. Alexander's reply is simple. Home. Dawn breaks as we pass through wrought iron gates that swing open automatically. The driveway stretches for what feels like half a mile, winding through manicured lawns and gardens just beginning to show autumn colors. Then I see the house. Mansion doesn't do it justice. It's a sprawling stone estate that looks transplanted. From the Italian countryside, 3 stories of elegant architecture with tall windows that catch the early morning light. Ivy climbs the western wall. A fountain centerpieces the circular drive. This is where you live? The question sounds stupid the moment it leaves my mouth. Yes. Alexander watches my reaction with those unreadable dark eyes. You'll be comfortable here. Comfortable. The word feels absurd. The SUV stops at the entrance where a woman waits, dressed in a crisp black suit. She's perhaps 50, with steel grey hair pulled into a severe bun and an expression that gives nothing away. She opens my door before Carlo can exit the driver's seat. "Welcome, Miss Bennett," she says with a slight Eastern European accent. "I'm Irina, the house manager." I climb out awkwardly, clutching my duffel bag against my chest. Suddenly aware of how I must look. Blood-stained scrubs, disheveled hair, exhaustion written across every feature. Alexander emerges from his side, already taking a call on his phone. He speaks briefly in Italian, then turns to Irina. "The blue suite. Make sure she has everything she needs." "Of course, Mr. Russo." He looks at me one last time. "Get some rest. We'll talk later." Then he's striding into the house, Carlo and Vince following like shadows, leaving me alone with Irina. "This way, please," she says, gesturing toward the imposing double doors. The foyer steals my breath. Marble floors reflect light from a crystal chandelier the size of my bathroom. A curved staircase sweeps upward, its banister gleaming dark wood. Renaissance paintings line walls that stretch to cathedral ceilings. I've seen wealth before. The hospital serves plenty of rich patients, but this is different. This is old money, power, legacy built over generations. "Mr. Russo asks that you make yourself at home," Irina says as we climb the stairs. Her heels click precisely against marble, then carpet as we reach the second floor. "If you need anything, dial 0 on the house phone." We walk down a hallway lined with more artwork. I try to memorize the route: left, right, another left, but the house seems designed to confuse. Irina stops before a door at the corridor's end and opens it with a keycard. "Your suite," she announces. The room beyond is larger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook gardens and, in the distance, the city's skyline glittering in morning light. A 4-poster bed dominates one wall, draped in silk the color of deep water. A sitting area with plush chairs occupies another corner. 2 doors likely lead to bathroom and closet. "Fresh clothing in your sizes is in the wardrobe," Irina continues in her professional monotone. "Toiletries in the bathroom. A doctor will visit at noon to check your arm. Until then, rest. Breakfast will be brought up shortly." "Wait," I say as she turns to leave. "How long am I staying here?" Something flickers across her face. Sympathy, maybe, or pity. "That's for Mr. Russo to decide, Miss Bennett." The door closes with a soft click that somehow sounds final. I stand frozen in the center of the room, trying to process the last 6 hours. At midnight, I was hiding in my bedroom, nursing a broken arm and praying Ray would drink himself unconscious. Now I'm in a mansion owned by the city's most notorious crime boss. My stepfather has mysteriously vanished, and I'm surrounded by luxury I could never afford in 10 lifetimes. The bathroom is marble and glass, with a shower large enough for 4 people and a soaking tub beside a window. I catch my reflection in the mirror and barely recognize myself. Pale, shadowed, fragile. With effort, I manage to undress and shower one-handed, protecting my cast with a plastic bag I find under the sink. The hot water feels like absolution, washing away hospital, antiseptic, and fear sweat, and the lingering touch of Ray's violence. Wrapped in a robe softer than clouds, I explore the wardrobe. It's stocked with clothing in exactly my size: jeans, sweaters, dresses, even sleepwear and undergarments, with price tags from boutiques I've only seen from the outside. The level of preparation is unsettling. This wasn't arranged in the few hours since Alexander found me. This was planned, ready, waiting. A knock announces breakfast. A young woman who slips in and out like a ghost, leaving behind a tray laden with food I'm too exhausted to eat. I manage a few bites of fruit, some coffee, then surrender to the enormous bed. The sheets are silk, cool against my skin. The mattress cradles me like water. Despite everything, the strangeness, the fear, the sheer impossibility of my situation, exhaustion wins. My eyes drift closed. My last coherent thought is both grateful and terrifying. I've escaped Ray's violence, but at what cost? I've traded one cage for another. This one is beautiful, comfortable, safe. But it's still a cage. And Alexander Russo holds the only key. I wake disoriented, momentarily forgetting where I am. Sunlight streams through unfamiliar windows. The sheets beneath me are too soft, the ceiling too high. Then memory crashes back. Alexander Russo, the mansion, raised terrified face as he packed his bags. The bedside clock reads 11:43 a.m. I've slept for nearly 6 hours, yet my body feels heavy, disconnected. The pain medication is wearing off, leaving my arm throbbing beneath its plaster prison. A soft knock precedes Irina's entrance. She carries fresh towels over one arm, her expression as neutral as last night. "Good morning, Miss Bennett." "The doctor will arrive in 15 minutes. She sets the towels on a chair. "Mr. Russo requests your company for dinner this evening at 7. Appropriate attire has been provided." "I didn't agree to dinner," I say, hating how small my voice sounds. Mr. Russo doesn't typically receive refusals. It's not said unkindly, just factually. "A car will collect you at 6:45. She leaves before I can protest. I dress in jeans and a sweater from the wardrobe, both fitting perfectly, disturbingly so, and try the door. It opens freely, no lock, no physical barrier. But when I step into the hallway, I spot a man in a dark suit stationed near the staircase. He doesn't acknowledge me, but I feel his awareness like pressure against my skin. I'm not locked in. I'm just being watched. Dr. Kessler arrives precisely at noon. Grey-haired woman with kind eyes and competent hands. She examines my cast, reviews x-rays on a tablet I didn't realize anyone had taken. "Clean break," she confirms. 6 weeks in the cast, then physical therapy. "You're young and healthy. You'll heal well," she pauses. "Mr. Russo has arranged for me to visit 3 times weekly." "That's not necessary," I protest. "I can't afford. Everything has been taken care of, Miss Bennett." Her tone is gentle, but final. "Your only job is to heal." After she leaves, I attempt to explore. The hallway branches in multiple directions, each turn revealing more opulence artwork. Sculptures, rooms whose purposes I can only guess. But every time I descend a staircase or approach an exit, I encounter another silent security guard. Not stopping me, just present. By late afternoon, I'm climbing the walls of my beautiful prison. When Irina returns with another tray lunch, I didn't request time ready to demand answers. "I want to speak with Alexander," I say firmly. "Mr. Russo is occupied with business." Irina sets down the tray. "We'll see him at dinner." "I don't want dinner. I want to know what's happening. I want to know when I can go home." Irina's professional mask slips for just a moment. "Miss Bennett, with respect, do you really want to go back to that house? To that life?" The question lands like a slap. No. God, no. The thought of returning to Ray's duplex, to his fists and his control and his casual cruelty, makes my stomach turn. But this alternative, this gilded cage, is terrifying in different ways. "I want my life back," I whisper. "My job, my independence." "Your position at the hospital has been held for you with paid medical leave," Irina says. "As for independence, double quotes," she trails off, leaving the sentence unfinished. "Wear the navy dress tonight? It's been altered for your cast." Alone again, I pace the suite like a caged animal. Which, I suppose, is exactly what I am. At 6:30, a young woman arrives to help me dress. The navy dress fits like it was made for me, which it probably was. The left sleeve accommodates my cast perfectly. She styles my hair in loose waves and applies subtle makeup. When I look in the mirror, I barely recognize myself. At 6:45, Irina escorts me downstairs, but not to a grand dining room as I expected. Instead, we enter a smaller, intimate space with windows overlooking lit gardens. A table for 2 is set with crystal and silver, candles flickering between place settings. Alexander stands as I enter, and I'm struck again by his presence. He's changed into a dark suit that emphasizes his broad shoulders. His usual guards are nowhere visible. Miller, he says, his voice warm and low. You look beautiful. Thank you. The automatic politeness of years of survival, though I still don't understand why I'm here. He pulls out my chair. Sit. I owe you explanations. A server appears with wine, another with appetizers, delicate arrangements of seafood I've only seen in magazines. They work in silent efficiency, then disappear. When we're alone, Alexander studies me across the candlelight. Your mother called me 2 weeks before she died, he begins without preamble. The hospice let her use their phone. She was weak, barely coherent, but determined. His jaw tightens. She said, Alexander, I saved your life once. Now I need you to save my daughter's. My throat constricts. She knew. About Ray, she suspected. She'd seen the warning signs. His controlling behavior, his anger, how he isolated you. Alexander's dark eyes hold mine. She made me promise to watch over you. To protect you if Ray ever crossed the line. Why didn't you intervene sooner? The question comes out sharper than intended. I should have, he admits, and there's genuine regret in his voice. After Julia died, I had someone check on you periodically. You seemed functional, working, paying bills, living independently. I thought maybe she'd been wrong or Ray had improved. He pauses. Then last night, I saw you in the emergency room. Saw your cast, your bruises, the fear in your eyes. And I knew I'd failed her. You didn't fail anyone, I say quietly. I'm good at hiding. Too good. His expression darkens. How long has he been hurting you, Mila? The truth this time. I take a shaky breath. It started small after Mum died. Criticism. Controlling where I went, who I talked to. Then it escalated. Shoves. Slaps. Things he could explain away as accidents. I looked down at my cast. Last night was the worst. I talked back. He didn't like it. Alexander's knuckles whiten around his wineglass. Where is he now? I ask. Ray, what did you really do to him? Alexander sets down his glass with careful precision. Your stepfather had gambling debts to some very dangerous people. I paid those debts in exchange for his immediate departure and a binding agreement never to contact you again. And if he breaks that agreement? Alexander's smile is cold. Then we'll have another conversation, a much shorter one. The casual implication of violence should terrify me. Instead, I feel a shameful flicker of satisfaction. So I'm safe, I say slowly. Ray is gone. Why am I still here? Because safety and security require time to establish properly. Because you need to heal. He leans forward slightly. And because I made your mother a promise, Miller, I intend to keep it. A week passes in a blur of luxury and monotony. Each morning, Irina brings tea and updates me on my schedule. Doctor visits, physical therapy consultations, meals. Alexander himself remains elusive, a ghost in his own house. I catch glimpses of him crossing the foyer or hear his voice down distant hallways. Always surrounded by his security team, always occupied with mysterious business. By day 8, I'm ready to climb the walls. I need to go outside, I tell Irina when she brings breakfast. Just for a walk. Fresh air. She assesses me with her usual impassive expression. I'll arrange an escort. I don't need a babysitter to walk in a garden. But Irina has already left. The door closing softly behind her. 10 minutes later, a knock announces my escort. I open the door expecting Carlo or one of the other silent guards. Instead, Alexander stands there in casual clothes, dark jeans, and a black sweater that somehow makes him look more dangerous than his usual suits. Good morning, he says. Irina mentioned you'd like a tour of the grounds. You don't need to babysit me, I say automatically. Surely you have more important things, more important than keeping a promise. A hint of amusement touches his lips. I don't think so. The autumn air is crisp as we step outside. Leaves crunch beneath our feet in satisfying rhythm. Alexander walks beside me, adjusting his naturally long stride to match mine. 2 security guards follow at a distance, close enough to intervene if needed, far enough to create an illusion of privacy. How are you settling in? Alexander asks, as we follow a stone path winding through formal gardens past their summer glory. The accommodations are extravagant, I admit, but I feel useless. I'm a nurse. I should be working, not lounging around like some pampered you're recovering from an injury, he interrupts. Dr. Kessler recommended complete rest for 2 weeks. 1 more week, I counter. Then we discuss my return to work. He nods once, and I realize with surprise that I've just negotiated with Alexander Rousseau, and won. We reach a small pond where koi fish swim lazily beneath lily pads. Japanese maples surround it, their leaves brilliant red and gold. A stone bench offers a perfect view. This was my mother's favorite spot, Alexander says, gesturing for me to sit. She had the garden designed when I was a child. The personal revelation surprises me. Alexander rarely speaks about himself. It's beautiful, I say honestly. Peaceful. Peace is rare in my life. He settles beside me, watching the fish circle in clear water. I come here when I need to think. And what do you think about? I ask, genuinely curious. His dark eyes meet mine. Lately? You. Heat rushes to my cheeks. Me? Why? You're different, Miller. Most people in your situation would be demanding compensation, asking for favors, trying to leverage their position. He pauses. You expect nothing. I didn't ask for any of this, I point out. Precisely. Something shifts in his expression. You're refreshing. We sit in comfortable silence, watching the koi. In the distance, the city's skyline glitters, a reminder of the world beyond these walls. A world where Alexander Rousseau is feared, not this almost gentle man sitting beside me. Tell me about your work, he says suddenly. Your patients. The request catches me off guard, but I find myself talking about the children in the oncology ward, their courage, their families' desperation, the small victories we celebrate. Alexander listens with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions. You love it, he observes when I finally pause. Being a nurse, it's all I've ever wanted to be. My mother inspired me. She inspired many people. His gaze grows distant. Julia saw the person behind the name. That's rare. Before I can respond, one of the security guards approaches, speaking in low, urgent tones. Alexander's expression shifts instantly, the softness vanishing, replaced by cold authority. I have business to attend to, he says, standing. Carla will escort you back when you're ready. He's gone before I can reply, already on his phone, striding toward the mansion with predatory purpose. I remain by the pond, trying to reconcile these different versions of Alexander Rousseau, the dangerous crime lord, the thoughtful host, and now this man who spoke about his mother's garden with such quiet affection. That evening, I'm informed Alexander has been called away on urgent business. He'll return in a few days. The news shouldn't disappoint me, but it does. 3 days pass. The mansion feels emptier without him, despite the constant presence of staff and security. I bury myself in medical journals he had delivered, practice one-handed tasks to prepare for my return to work. Then, early on the 4th morning, I wake to commotion in the hallway. Voices, footsteps moving quickly. Irina's usually calm tone edged with urgency. I slip on a robe and peer out. Security personnel move with purpose through the corridor, speaking rapidly into radios. Irina spots me and approaches, her professional composure slightly rattled. Please return to your room, Miss Bennett. Everything is under control. What's happening? I ask, my nursing instincts already on alert. Mr. Rousseau has returned. She glances toward the opposite wing. He requires medical attention. I can help, I say immediately. I'm trained for emergency care. Irina hesitates, weighing protocol against practicality. Then she nods sharply. Come with me, quickly. She leads me through unfamiliar corridors to what must be Alexander's private quarters. The space is masculine and minimalist, dark woods, leather furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens. Security stands outside a partially open door. Through it, I hear low voices, tense and urgent. He's in there, Irina says. The doctor is with him, but I don't wait for her to finish. Inside the spacious bathroom, Alexander sits on the marble counter, shirt off, while a young man with shaking hands attempts to clean a wound on his shoulder. Blood seeps through a makeshift bandage, staining expensive fabric. Alexander's face is pale beneath his tan, jaw tight with controlled pain. What happened? I ask, moving forward automatically, my professional training overriding everything else. Alexander's eyes find mine, surprise flickering across his features. Miller, you shouldn't be here. I'm a nurse, I remind him, already assessing the situation. I turn to the nervous young man, still holding blood-soaked gauze. Are you the doctor? He nods, relief flooding his face. Dr. Parker. I'm more of a GP, not really trauma. Let me see, I say, gently moving his hands away from the wound. Alexander watches me, his breathing controlled but shallow. The injury is a deep gash across his shoulder and upper chest. Not a bullet wound as I'd feared, but a knife cut from the look of it. Clean edges, but deep. This needs stitches, I say, slipping into professional mode. Proper cleaning? Antibiotics? Possibly. Just patch it up, Alexander orders. No hospitals. I fix him with my sternest nurse look. This isn't negotiable. Without proper treatment, you risk infection, significant scarring, possibly nerve damage. For a tense moment, we stare at each other, neither backing down. Then, surprisingly, he nods. Do what you need to do. Here, I'll need supplies, I tell Dr. Parker, who hurries off gratefully, returning with an impressively well-stocked medical kit. Everyone out, I order, washing my hands one-handed as best I can, except the doctor. Alexander dismisses his security with a nod. They leave reluctantly, closing the door behind them. This will hurt, I warn, preparing to irrigate the wound. His laugh is short and humorless. I've had worse. As I work, I try to maintain professional detachment. But it's difficult with Alexander watching me so intensely, half naked, his body a roadmap of past violence. Old scars crisscross his torso, knife wounds. What might be bullet grazes, marks that tell stories I'm not sure I want to hear. How did this happen? I ask, carefully cleaning the wound. Business disagreement, he replies, not flinching despite what must be significant pain. Must have been quite a disagreement. The other party came away with a more permanent reminder of our differences. I pause, needle in hand. Did you kill someone tonight, Alexander? His dark eyes meet mine, unflinching. Would it change how you treat my wound if I had? No, I admit, after a moment. The Hippocratic Oath doesn't have exceptions. Then perhaps it's better you don't know the details of my business. For both our sakes, I proceed with the stitches, working methodically, despite the awkwardness of using my non-dominant hand with my other arm still casted. Dr. Parker assists silently, handing me instruments as needed. You're good at this, Alexander comments as I tie off the last suture. I had an excellent teacher, I reply, thinking of my mother. She always said healing was an art as much as a science. Julia was wise. His voice softens. When I finish bandaging, Alexander dismisses Dr. Parker with a look. The young doctor gathers his supplies and flees. We're alone. Alexander remains on the counter, watching me clean up. Thank you. Just doing my job. I'm suddenly aware of our proximity, of his state of undress, of how his chest rises and falls with each breath. You should rest, I say, turning toward the door. Let your body heal. Miller, he catches my wrist gently. I freeze, pulse racing. Why did you help me? He asks. You could have stayed in your room. Let the doctor handle it. Because you are hurt, I say simply. Because I help people who are hurt. It's what I do. Even people like me, he presses. I meet his gaze steadily. What kind of person are you, Alexander? Instead of answering, he releases my wrist and reaches up to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture is so gentle, so at odds with the violence carved into his skin. You should get some sleep, he says finally. It's late. I nod, suddenly exhausted now that adrenaline is fading. Try not to get stabbed again, I say at the door. Your body needs time to recover before the next business disagreement. A genuine smile curves his lips. I'll do my best. 2 weeks later, Alexander's wound has healed without complication. My cast is scheduled to come off in days. We've fallen into an unexpected rhythm, shared breakfasts, evening walks by the koi pond, conversations that stretch late into the night. I'm reading in the library when Irina appears with unusual hesitancy. Miss Bennet, you have a visitor. A Miss Lily Thompson from the hospital. My heart leaps. Lily, my friend, my colleague, my connection to the real world I left behind. Where is she? The front sitting room. But Miss Bennet. Irina's expression is troubled. Mr. Russo is not here. He's in the city on business. Perhaps you should wait until… She's my friend, I interrupt. I want to see her. Lily stands by the window, looking profoundly out of place among the marble and antiques. When she sees me, she rushes forward. Miller! She embraces me carefully, mindful of my cast. Thank God, everyone's been worried sick. You disappeared from the ear, then your apartment was emptied. Her eyes scan the opulent room, the security guard stationed at the door. What's going on? Are you in trouble? I'm safe, I assure her. I'm safe. Lily's voice drops to an urgent whisper. Miller, do you know who Alexander Russo is? What he does? I know enough. Do you? She glances nervously at the guard. People are talking. They say you're his. She stops, unable to say the word. His what? I ask, though I can guess. His mistress, Lily whispers. His possession. Heat floods my face. That's not true. Alexander knew my mother. He's protecting me from Ray. Understanding dawns in Lily's expression. Your stepfather. The one who hurt you. I nod. And what does Russo want in return for this protection? Her question is gentle, but pointed. Nothing, I say, but the word feels hollow. Nobody does something for nothing, especially not men like him. Before I can respond to Lily's question, my phone rings. Alexander's name flashes on the screen, the private number he gave me for emergencies. Excuse me, I tell Lily, stepping into the hallway. Who is visiting you? Alexander's voice is tense, clipped. Lily Thompson from the hospital. How did you security protocols? He interrupts. Anyone entering the property is photographed and reported immediately. Is she trustworthy? She's my friend, I say, indignation rising. Are you seriously monitoring my visitors? I'm protecting you. A pause. Keep your visit brief. I'll be home tonight. The line goes dead. When I return to the sitting room, Lily is examining a Renaissance painting with forced interest. The security guard watches us both with unwavering attention. Was that him? She asks quietly. I nod. Mila, listen to me. Lily takes my hands. I'm worried about you. You've escaped one controlling man only to fall under another's influence. This isn't healthy. Her words echo thoughts I've tried to suppress. It's different. Alexander doesn't hurt me. There are many ways to control someone besides physical violence, Lily says gently. Isolation, monitoring, making you dependent. I've seen it before in the women trapped in gilded cages, convinced they're there by choice. I am here by choice, I insist, but my voice wavers. Lily pulls a small notebook from her bag, scribbles something, and tears out the page. My new address and private number. If you ever need help, day or night, no questions asked. I take the paper, throat tight. Thank you. But I'm really okay. After Lily leaves, escorted by Carlo to the gate, I stand at the window watching her car disappear. Her visit has unsettled me more than I want to admit. Was she right? Have I simply traded one cage for another? That evening, I'm in my suite when Irina appears, her composure shaken. Miss Bennet, you should see this. She turns on the television. Breaking news banners flash across the screen. Attempted assassination at La Bella Vista restaurant downtown. 3 confirmed dead, 2 injured. Sources say Alexander Russo, alleged head of the city's most powerful crime syndicate, was the target of the attack. Russo himself appears to have escaped unharmed. My legs give out. I sink onto the sofa, staring at the screen showing police lights, covered bodies, shattered glass. 3 people dead, because someone tried to kill Alexander. He's safe, Irina says quickly. Mr. Russo was not injured. He's handling the situation and will return shortly. Handling the situation, I repeat numbly. Which means what? More violence, more death. Hours pass. I can't eat the dinner that's brought. Can't focus on anything except the news footage playing on loop, the restaurant, the bodies, the reporter's grave voice discussing gang warfare and escalating violence. It's past midnight when I hear footsteps in the hallway. My door opens without a knock. Alexander stands there, still in his suit, looking exhausted but unharmed. His eyes find mine across the room. You saw the news, he says. Not a question. 3 people are dead, Alexander. I know. He closes the door behind him, moving to the window. It was a coordinated attack. Professional. Because of your business. Because of you. The words land like a punch. What? He turns to face me, his expression grave. The Varga family. They're my chief rivals. Someone informed them about you, about what you mean to me. His jaw tightens. They saw an opportunity. Horror washes over me. This is my fault? No. Alexander crosses to me in 2 strides. This is on them. On me for not anticipating. How did they know? I interrupt. I've barely left the property. I've been careful, your friend. His voice is gentle but certain. Lily Thompson. She was followed after leaving here, questioned. My blood turns to ice. Is she? She's unharmed, he assures me quickly. But she revealed enough for the Vargas to make assumptions about your importance to me. Guilt crushes my chest. I put her in danger. I put you both in danger, Alexander corrects, by bringing you into my world. He sits beside me, and I'm struck by how tired he looks. How human. This clarifies things, doesn't it? He says quietly. Shows you exactly what being in my life means. I think about Lily's warnings. About the bodies on the news. About the violence that follows Alexander like a shadow. When you said I could leave if I wanted, I hear myself ask, did you mean it? Pain flickers across his features. Yes, your safety would be arranged differently, but yes. I would respect your decision. The weight of choice settles over me. Stay in this dangerous world, or reclaim my independence and risk everything Alexander protects me from. I need time, I whisper, to think. To be sure. He stands, respecting my space. Of course. Take all the time you need. At the door, he pauses. Whatever you decide, Miller, my promise to protect you stands. It always will. After he leaves, I sit in darkness, Lily's note clutched in my hand, watching news footage of violence I inadvertently caused. Alexander Rousseau has given me something no one else ever has. Genuine choice. Now I have to decide what to do with it. I wake knowing exactly what I have to do. The decision crystallized sometime during the sleepless night. Between news footage and Lily's warnings and the weight of 3 bodies I inadvertently put in the ground, I packed my belongings in the same duffel bag Alexander brought from my old house that first night. It doesn't take long. I came with almost nothing, and despite the designer wardrobe filling the closet, none of it truly belongs to me. Dawn is breaking when I make my way to Alexander's study. The door is ajar, and through it I see him at his desk, still in yesterday's clothes, surrounded by laptops and files. He hasn't slept. He looks up as I enter, his eyes immediately finding the bag in my hand. "You've made your decision," he says, standing. His voice is carefully neutral, but I catch the tension in his shoulders. Yes. I set the bag down, needing both hands free for this conversation. I'm leaving. Something shudders in his expression. He nods once. Professional. I understand. Carla will drive you wherever you wish to go. Your apartment has been maintained. Security upgrades were installed. The lease is paid through the year. The immediate practicality of his response catches me off guard. No argument. No persuasion. Just ... acceptance. You're not going to try to change my mind? I ask. I gave you my word. Your choice is yours alone. I move closer, studying his face. And if my choice is to leave, but not to go far? Confusion flickers across his features. I don't understand. I can't stay here, Alexander, not as a guest. not as someone you're protecting because of a promise to my mother. I take a breath. But I could stay as something else. Hope and wariness battle in his expression. What are you saying, Mila? I'm saying I want my own place, my own life, my job at the hospital. I step closer still, and I want you. But I need to know it's my choice, not just something I fell into because you rescued me. He remains perfectly still, as if any movement might shatter this moment. How would this work? I live in my own apartment. Work my shifts. Build my career. My hand rests against his chest, feeling his heart beat steady and strong beneath my palm. And when I choose to, I come to you, or you come to me. But as equals, not as protector and protected. Equals, he repeats slowly. You know that's not how the world sees us. How it ever will. I don't care how the world sees us. I counter. I care how we see each other. His hand covers mine where it rests over his heart. And how do you see me, Miller? I see a man capable of great tenderness and terrible violence. I say honestly, a man shaped by his name and legacy, but fighting to be more than those things. I meet his gaze directly. I see you, Alexander, all of you. And I'm still here. Something breaks open in his expression. Vulnerability I've only glimpsed before. What of the danger? He asks quietly. After yesterday, I'm not naive. Being with you comes with risks. I squeeze his hand. But so does crossing the street. So does living with a man like Ray. At least with you. The danger is honest. Named. Alexander's free hand comes up to cut my face, his touch impossibly gentle. You continue to surprise me. Good, I say, allowing myself a small smile. Keep you on your toes. For a long moment, we simply look at each other, the air between us charged with possibility. Then, slowly, deliberately, he lowers his head and kisses me. It's gentle at first, almost hesitant, so at odds with the powerful man I know him to be. But as I respond, sliding my good arm around his neck, the kiss deepens. Years of restraint giving way to something raw and consuming. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, he rests his forehead against mine. I've wanted to do that since the night I found you at the hospital, he admits. That long? I ask, surprised. Longer. His thumb traces my cheekbone. Since I saw your picture in your mother's locket years ago. The revelation should be unsettling. Instead, it feels like pieces of a puzzle finally coming together. What now? I ask. Alexander's answer is simple. Now we find you an apartment. Something secure, but independent. Close to both the hospital and here. I can find my own place, I protest. Security considerations, Miller. Non-negotiable. But his tone is softer now. You'll make the final choice among suitable options. I nod, accepting the compromise. And my job? The promotion stands. It was always meant for you. And us. His expression softens completely. Us is whatever you want it to be. Whatever pace you choose. He pulls me closer. I've waited this long for you. I can be patient a while longer. 3 months later, I stand in my apartment, my own apartment, watching the city lights glitter through floor-to-ceiling windows. The space is beautiful, a top-floor unit in a secure building halfway between St. Mary's Hospital and Alexander's estate. Not as opulent as the mansion, but mine. Every piece of furniture, every book on the shelves, every decision, mine. My cast came off 6 weeks ago. Physical therapy has restored strength to my arm, though I still feel phantom weight sometimes, muscle memory of the plaster that marked my transformation. At work, I've settled into my role as department head. The promotion-raised eyebrows initially whispers about how a young nurse with barely a year's experience could leap to such a position. But I've proven myself through 12-hour shifts and difficult decisions, earning respect one patient at a time. Alexander and I have developed a rhythm. Some nights he comes here, arriving without his usual security detail, though I know they're never far. Other evenings I go to the mansion, and we walk by the koi pond or share dinner in that intimate room overlooking the gardens. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. He tells me about his mother, about growing up Russo, about the burden of legacy. I tell him about nursing school, about patients who broke my heart, about rebuilding a life I thought Ray had destroyed. The physical relationship built slowly, carefully. Alexander was patient, gentle, never pushing beyond what I was ready for. When we finally came together 2 weeks ago, it felt like inevitability, a door opening that had always been meant to open. Now my phone buzzes with a text from him. Car arrives in 20 minutes. You'll be stunning. Tonight is the charity gala, our first public appearance as a couple. The event benefits the pediatric oncology department where I work, which makes my attendance expected. But going as Alexander Russo's date will put us squarely in the spotlight. Are you sure about this? I'd asked when he first proposed it. You're already known to be important to me, he'd replied. Hiding you away won't change that. Better to be open to show strength. The dress he sent hangs in my closet, deep emerald silk that fits like water. I slip into it. My movement's easier now without the cast's restriction. Apply makeup. Arrange my hair in a style elegant enough for the occasion. When I look in the mirror, I barely recognize the woman staring back. Gone is the exhausted nurse with haunted eyes. This woman looks confident, strong, chosen. The SUV arrives precisely on time. Alexander emerges wearing a tuxedo that emphasizes his commanding presence, and I see admiration flash in his dark eyes as he takes me in. You're breathtaking, he says, offering his hand. The gala is held in the grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel. Crystal chandeliers cast prisms of light across marble floors. The city's elites circulate in designer gowns and expensive suits, champagne glasses catching the light. As we enter, conversations pause mid-sentence. Heads turn. The whispers begin immediately. Alexander's hand rests at the small of my back, gentle but possessive, a clear statement to everyone watching. Hospital administrators greet me warmly, though uncertainty flickers in their eyes when Alexander is introduced. My colleagues are more openly curious, assessing the man whose name carries such weight. Myla, Dr. Phillips, my former supervisor, approaches with forced enthusiasm. And Mr. Russo, we're so grateful for your family's continued support of our department. The work you do is invaluable, Alexander replies smoothly. Miller speaks highly of your leadership. He navigates the social landscape with practiced ease, charming donors, engaging board members, always keeping me at his side but never overshadowing me. During dinner, I notice a man watching us from across the room. Distinguished, silver-haired, with cold eyes that never leave Alexander. Who is that? I ask quietly. Alexander doesn't need to look. Victor Varga, my chief rival. The name sends ice through my veins. The man responsible for the attack 3 months ago. The reason 3 people died. As if feeling my gaze, Varga raises his champagne glass slightly, a gesture that seems more challenge than toast. Should I be concerned? I ask, keeping my voice steady. Not here. Not now. Alexander's hand covers mine on the table. And never again, if I have anything to say about it. Later we dance. The orchestra plays something classical and romantic. Alexander holds me close, and for a moment, I forget about watching eyes and dangerous rivals and the violence that shadows his world. Thank you, I murmur against his shoulder. For what? For giving me a choice. For letting me choose you. His arms tighten around me. Thank you for choosing me despite everything you know. The song ends. Alexander is pulled aside by a board member, leaving me momentarily alone. I'm reaching for champagne when a voice speaks behind me. So, you're the nurse who tamed the beast. I turn to find Victor Varga standing there. Impeccably dressed. That cold smile on his face. Mr. Varga, I acknowledge, pulse quickening. We haven't been formally introduced. No need for formalities. He steps closer. I feel I know you already, Miss Bennett. You've become quite the topic of conversation in certain circles. Have I? I keep my expression neutral, channeling Alexander's calm authority. Indeed, the woman who holds Alexander Russo's heart. He pauses. If such a thing exists, a valuable position. Potentially dangerous, of course. Is that a threat, Mr. Varga? he chuckles. Merely an observation. Russo has many enemies. I'm aware, I reply coolly. Yet here I am. Something like curiosity flickers in his cold eyes. Either very brave or very foolish. Perhaps I simply know something you don't. And what might that be? Before I can answer, I feel Alexander's presence at my side. He doesn't touch me, but his proximity is statement enough. Victor, he greets with deceptive mildness. Introducing yourself to Miller. How considerate. The tension between them is palpable, years of enmity compressed into this moment. Just welcoming her to our little world, Varga replies smoothly. She's quite remarkable. I can see why you're attached. Indeed. Alexander's hand settles at my waist. If you'll excuse us, our car is waiting. As we walk away, I feel Varga's eyes following us. He was threatening me, I say quietly once we're out of earshot. Testing boundaries, Alexander corrects. Assessing weaknesses, and did he find any? A smile touches his lips. None. You handled him perfectly. 6 months to the day after Alexander found me in that emergency room at 3 a.m., we stand by the koi pond watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. My life has transformed completely. I have my apartment, my career, a relationship that defies conventional wisdom but feels more real than anything I've ever known. The danger is real too. Victor Varga's presence at the gala was a reminder that Alexander's world will always include threats, rivalries, violence I can't fully understand. But I've learned to live with it, the security measures, the careful awareness, the knowledge that loving Alexander Russo means accepting all of him. Any regrets? Alexander asks, his arm around my waist, as we watch the koi circle lazily in clear water. I consider the question honestly. 6 months ago, I was trapped in Ray's house, broken and afraid. Now I'm truly free. Not because someone rescued me, but because I chose what freedom would look like. No, I answer finally. This path wasn't one I could have imagined, but it's mine. I chose it. I chose you. Alexander turns me to face him, his expression more open than I've ever seen it. I have something for you. From his pocket, he withdraws a small velvet box. My heart stutters, but when he opens it, there's no ring instead. A delicate gold locket catches the fading light. It was your mother's, he explains, his voice soft. She left it with me before she died. Asked me to give it to you when the time was right. Tears prick behind my eyes as I touch the locket with trembling fingers. I remember this necklace. My mother wore it every day. I thought it was buried with her, I whisper. She wanted you to have it. Alexander carefully fastens the chain around my neck. The locket rests against my skin, warm and somehow familiar, like coming home. Open it, he urges gently. Inside is a tiny photograph, my mother smiling, healthy, as I remember her before illness took her, and opposite where my childhood picture once was. A new photo. Alexander and me in this very garden. His arm around me, my head on his shoulder, both of us caught in a moment of unguarded happiness. She would have approved, Alexander says quietly. Of us. How can you be sure? I ask, closing the locket carefully. Because she knew me at my worst, and still saw something worth saving. His hand covers mine where it rests on the locket. Just as you do. The sky darkens around us, garden lights illuminating our path. We start walking back toward the house, and I think about everything that's brought us to this moment. Ray is somewhere far away, working on an oil platform, in conditions I don't let myself imagine. Lily has cautiously accepted my choices, though she still worries. The Vargas remain a threat, but are managed when Alexander and Victor have reached a fragile understanding after the gala, a temporary truce in their endless war. My stepfather once told me, in a rare moment of drunken philosophy, that life was a series of cages. You never truly escaped, just traded one prison for another. Perhaps he was right, but some cages are of our own making, doors left deliberately unlocked. Some captivities are chosen, entered with eyes wide open and hearts fully engaged. Alexander's fingers interlaced with mine as we walked no longer ahead or behind, but beside me. Equal partners navigating dangerous waters together. What are you thinking? He asks. That I traded safety for love, I say. Predictability for passion. Conformity for complexity. I squeeze his hand. And I wouldn't have it any other way. He stops walking, pulling me close. In the garden lights, his face is all sharp angles and shadow, beautiful and dangerous in equal measure. I love you, Mila Bennett, he says. I should have told you sooner. I love you too, I reply, the words feeling both terrifying and inevitable, even knowing everything I know. Maybe especially because I know. His kiss is deep and thorough, a promise and a claim and a question all at once. When we finally break apart and continue toward the house, I glance back at the koi pond one last time, my mother's favorite spot. The place where Alexander comes to think. The space where I learned that freedom isn't the absence of constraint, it's the power to choose your constraints. I chose this. Chose him. Chose a life that balances tenderness with danger, luxury with risk, love with clear-eyed awareness of what loving Alexander Rousseau truly means. The mansion rises before us, lit from within, both prison and sanctuary depending on perspective. My mother's locket rests against my heart, a reminder that some promises transcend death. And beside me walks the man who kept that promise, not by saving me, but by giving me the power to save myself. That's not captivity. That's love.